The paper titled, Microphase Separation of Semiflexible Ring Diblock Copolymers, focuses on solving the conformation statistics of complex polymers, specifically semiflexible ring Diblock copolymers. The authors introduce a novel and concise theoretical approach based on Monte Carlo and neural network methods, offering a new research idea for investigating the conformation statistics of complex polymers. This approach can be applied to more complex topological structures and polymer systems with higher dimensions, as well as the analysis of scattering experimental data. The conformation statistics of complex polymers determine the structure and response properties of the system. In this study, the authors propose a new method that utilizes Monte Carlo simulation to sample the ring conformation of semiflexible Diblock copolymers and construct a dataset of polymer structures. The structure factors, which describe the conformation statistics, are then expressed as continuous functions of structure parameters using neural network supervised learning. This innovation allows for the analysis of the microphase separation of semiflexible ring Diblock copolymers by incorporating the neural network representation of structure factors into the random phase approximation theory. The authors also point out the influence of the ring's topological properties on the phase transition behavior. The introduction further provides a background on the research and synthesis of cyclic polymers, highlighting the influence of cyclic topology on self-assembly and nanolithography. The introduction also mentions previous studies on the conformational and dynamic properties of polymer rings, as well as the effect of concentration on the conformational properties of cyclic polymers. The authors emphasize the need to solve the conformation statistics problems in complex polymer systems and propose their novel approach as a solution. The paper explains the methodology used, which involves Monte Carlo simulation to sample the conformational states of semiflexible ring copolymers and calculate the structure factors. The dataset obtained is then used to train a neural network to obtain a continuous function of structure factors based on rigidity coefficients and wavenumbers. This trained neural network is incorporated into the random phase approximation theory to study the microphase separation and calculate the ordered-disordered transition points. Overall, the introduction provides a comprehensive overview of the paper's objectives, the significance of the research, and the methodology employed. Monte Carlo and neural network approach. The first figure in the paper illustrates the methodology used in this study, which is the Monte Carlo and neural network approach for solving the conformation statistics of complex polymers. The figure shows a flowchart depicting the steps involved in this approach. The first step is the Monte Carlo simulation of the semiflexible ring Diblock copolymer to sample its conformation and construct a dataset of polymer conformations. This is done by simulating the equilibrium state of the polymer chain using the Metropolis sampling algorithm. The conformational changes of the copolymer are simulated, and the structure factors that describe the conformation statistics are calculated. The next step involves using a fully connected neural network to fit and train the dataset of structure factors. The neural network is adjusted by optimizing the parameters to minimize the loss function, which represents the distance between the predicted structure factors and the actual structure factors obtained from simulations. The neural network learns the mapping relationship between the input parameters, rigidity coefficient, wavenumber, and the output parameter, structure factor. The trained neural network then provides a continuous function of the structure factors as a function of the rigidity coefficient and wavenumber. This function can be used to obtain the structure factors for any given values of the parameters, thus providing a practical and efficient method for solving the conformation statistics of complex polymers. C. The energy of the system is composed of bond angle energy and bond energy. The Gaussian ring model is constrained by bond energy when the local chain is stretched, but does not take into account the bending potential energy, bond angle energy, when the chain is bent. On the other hand, the semiflexible ring copolymer model considers both bond angle energy and bond energy, allowing the chain to have some level of rigidity. The rigid ring copolymer model has a very high rigidity and is not flexible. The figure highlights the difference in local chain bending potential energy between these different types of ring copolymers, which is influenced by the rigidity coefficient. The rigidity coefficient determines the rigidity of the polymer chain, with higher values indicating higher rigidity. Neural network architecture. The third figure depicts the neural network architecture used in this study. It shows a 4-layer fully connected neural network. The input layer takes the rigidity coefficient, Kb, and the wave number, k, as input parameters. The following two hidden layers have 1000 neurons each. Finally, the output layer has 12 neurons, which represent the structure factors Ca, Cbb, and Cab for component A, component B, and the AB interface, respectively. The neural network is trained using a supervised learning approach, where the inputs are the rigidity coefficient and wave number, and the outputs are the structure factors. The weights and biases of the neural network are adjusted through the backpropagation algorithm to minimize the loss function, which measures the difference between the predicted structure factors and the actual structure factors obtained from simulations. The neural network architecture used in this study has been optimized to provide accurate and efficient predictions of the structure factors for the semiflexible ring Diblock copolymers. Figure 4 in the scientific paper presents the structure factors Ca and Cab as a function of wave number, k, for different rigidity coefficients, Kb, in a 4-layer fully connected neural network. The solid lines represent the fitting results of the neural network, while the solid dots represent the numerical values obtained from Monte Carlo simulations. In terms of the results, for the structure factor Ca, it is observed that as the rigidity coefficient Kb increases, the structure factor decreases successively at the same wave number k. This trend is consistent across different wave numbers and rigidity coefficients. For the structure factor Cab, it is found that the dependence on wave number k is no longer monotonic for the same rigidity coefficient. As k increases, the structure factor Cab first increases and then decreases. This behavior is observed in the small k region and reflects the gyration radius of the polymer. In the intermediate k region, Cab deviates from random walk behavior and exhibits novel oscillatory behavior due to the cyclic conformational of the polymer. In the large K region, Cab reflects the linearly connected chain behavior on a small scale. The transition points between these regions correspond to macro-meso-micro boundaries. The significance of Figure 4 to the paper is that it demonstrates the ability of the neural network to accurately predict the structure factors of the cyclic Diblock copolymer at different rigidity coefficients and wave numbers. The fitting results of the neural network align well with the numerical values obtained from Monte Carlo simulations, indicating the high consistency between the fitted structure factor and the simulated values. This approach provides a continuous and efficient method for obtaining the structure factors of complex polymers, eliminating the need for complex differential solving processes. The results also reveal the influence of rigidity on the structure factors and provide insights into the microphase separation behavior of the cyclic Diblock copolymer system. It is worth mentioning that other figures, such as Figure 5, are also useful to discuss in relation to their significance to the paper. Figure 5 in the paper shows the heat maps of the structure factors Ca and Cab of the cyclic Diblock copolymer as a function of wave number, k, and rigidity coefficient, Kb. The heat maps provide a visual representation of the values of K2 Ca and K2 Cab, where higher values are represented by colors closer to yellow-green, while lower values are closer to blue. In Figure 5, which represents the structure factor Ca, it can be observed that as k increases, the value of K2 Ca also increases. For the same wave number k, as the rigidity coefficient Kb increases, the value of K2 Ca decreases. In Figure 5b, which represents the structure factor Cab, it can be seen that the dependence of Cab on k is no longer monotonic. As k increases, the value of K2 Cab first increases and then decreases. The significance of Figure 5 is that it provides a comprehensive view of the relationship between the structure factors of the cyclic Diblock copolymer and the wave number and rigidity coefficient. It demonstrates how the structure factors change with different parameters and highlights the influence of rigidity on the conformational statistics of the copolymer. The heat maps generated by the neural network fitting provide continuous functions of the structure factors, allowing for easy prediction and calculation of the structure factors for any combination of K and Kb. This method enhances computational efficiency and eliminates the need for complex mathematical modeling or differential solving processes. Overall, Figure 5 contributes to the understanding of the conformational properties and microphase separation behavior of cyclic Diblock copolymers. It is also worth noting that Figures 4a and 4b mentioned in the text provide plots of the structure factors Ca and Cab, respectively, with respect to the wave number k. These figures compare the fitting results from the neural network, solid lines, to the numerical values obtained from Monte Carlo simulations, solid dots. The figures show the consistency between the neural network fitting and the Monte Carlo simulation results, further validating the accuracy and effectiveness of the proposed method. Figure 6 in the scientific paper shows a thermal map of the rigidity coefficient, Kb, versus the energy consumption of different fluctuation modes, x. The color scale represents the magnitude of the order-to-disorder transition wave vector, chi-n, with yellow-green indicating larger chi-n values and blue indicating smaller chi-n values. The significance of Figure 6 is that it illustrates the relationship between the rigidity coefficient and the energy consumption of different fluctuation modes in the cyclic Diblock copolymer system. It shows that as the rigidity coefficient increases, the overall color in the thermal map changes from dark to light, indicating a decrease followed by an increase in the energy consumption. This corresponds to a transition from the disordered phase to the ordered phase in the microphase separation of the copolymer system. Additionally, the fluctuation mode, x, decreases as the rigidity coefficient increases, indicating a decrease in the characteristic length scale of the microphase structure. Overall, Figure 6 provides important insights into the stability and phase behavior of the cyclic Diblock copolymer system as a function of rigidity, highlighting the influence of rigidity on the order-to-disorder transition and the characteristic length scale of the microphase separation. Figure 7 in the paper presents the variation of the spinodal node chi-n, order-to-disorder transition wave vector, and the corresponding fluctuation mode x with the rigidity coefficient Kb for a system of cyclic Diblock copolymers. The spinodal node chi-n represents the concentration at which microphase separation occurs. The horizontal axis represents the rigidity coefficient Kb, the left vertical axis represents the spinodal node chi-n, and the right vertical axis represents the fluctuation mode x corresponding to the spinodal node chi-n. The figure shows that as the rigidity coefficient Kb increases, the spinodal node chi-n initially increases and then decreases. This indicates an expansion of the region of the disordered phase followed by an expansion of the stable region of the ordered phase. The fluctuation mode x corresponding to the spinodal node chi-n exhibits a decreasing trend as the rigidity of the cyclic chain increases. The significance of Figure 7 is that it provides insights into the phase behavior and stability limits of the cyclic Diblock copolymer system. The variation of the spinodal node chi-n and the fluctuation mode x with the rigidity coefficient Kb helps to understand the effects of rigidity on microphase separation and chain conformation in cyclic Diblock copolymers. This information is valuable for designing and controlling the self-assembly and morphology of cyclic block copolymers for various applications in material science. It is important to note that Figure 7 should be interpreted in conjunction with the information provided in the previous sections of the paper, including the description of the Monte Carlo neural network approach and the analysis of the structure factors. Additionally, other figures in the paper, such as Figure 4 and Figure 6, also provide relevant information on the structure factors and the conformational properties of the cyclic Diblock copolymers. Figure 8 in the paper displays the change in the lowest spinodal node chi-n value of a cyclic ring polymer as a function of the rigidity coefficient Kb. The vertical axis represents the spinodal node chi-n, while the horizontal axis represents the normalized rigidity coefficient Kb. The graph shows that as the rigidity of the cyclic chain increases, the values of chi-n initially increase and then decrease. The blue dots approach the green solid line, representing the spinodal node of a Gaussian Diblock copolymer ring, as the rigidity approaches the limit of complete flexibility. As the rigidity approaches infinity, the blue dots converge to the orange solid line, representing the spinodal node of the corresponding rigid ring. The significance of Figure 8 is that it provides insights into the phase behavior and stability limits of the cyclic Diblock copolymer system. It shows how the spinodal node, which characterizes the order-disorder transition of the system, changes with the rigidity of the cyclic chain. The graph demonstrates the transition from flexibility to semiflexibility and then to rigidity in the variation of the spinodal node. The results highlight the influence of the cyclic topological characteristics on the phase behavior of the system. Overall, Figure 8 contributes to the understanding of the conformational and phase properties of cyclic D-block copolymers and provides valuable information for designing and controlling their self-assembly behavior. Other figures that are useful to discuss in relation to Figure 8 are Figure 6 and Figure 7. Figure 6 shows the change in the value of the spinodal node chi-n with the space size scale x and rigidity coefficient kb. It demonstrates the relationship between the spinodal node and the characteristic length scale of the microphase structure. Figure 7 illustrates the lowest spinodal node chi-n value and its corresponding space size x as a function of the rigidity coefficient kb. It provides a comprehensive view of the phase behavior and stability limits of the cyclic D-block copolymer system. The paper describes a novel theoretical method, combining Monte Carlo simulations with a neural network, to study the conformation statistics of complex polymers. The method is applied to a system of cyclic D-block copolymers, specifically examining the structure factors of each component as a function of rigidity and wavenumber. The results show that the structure factor exhibits linear dependence on rigidity and scale, with distinct oscillations due to the cyclic topology of the polymer. The method allows for the efficient calculation of multiple structure factors and can be applied to polymers with more complex topological structures. Additionally, the paper explores the microphase separation phenomenon in cyclic D-block copolymers and determines the order-disorder transition point and the most unstable fluctuation mode of the system. Overall, the proposed method provides a comprehensive approach to studying the conformation statistics of complex polymers and has potential applications in experimental data analysis and other polymer systems. If you are an author or copyright holder for the work presented in this video and you have any issue with the existence or contents of this video, please let me know.